Welcome back to The Will. My name is Tara Roos.
And I'm Lester Kiewit.
And today we're filling a filler episode because Lester and I are away and we still wanted to bring you more episodes of your favorite beloved podcast.
It's the algorithm. I don't trust this algorithm. Once you stop posting, the algorithm forgets you. Let's be honest.
So true.
There, but I enjoy chatting to you. Tara, what are we talking about today?
The Democratic Alliance. Everyone says that I'm getting paid by the DA. I wish. Helen, if you would like to write a check and send it my way. I mean, I'm not above taking bribes. As long as it's above a certain pay grade, my silence comes with a hefty price tag.
Does it have to be above 60,000?
No, we're talking into the millions, and it needs to be wired through a trust because I don't want to pay tax, and I also don't take money in cash. So
okay, today we're talking about the Democratic Alliance and asking the question: can the DA ever become South Africa's leading party? The 2024 general elections, they got about 21.2%.
Yeah.
In fact, it's about their ceiling, the highest that the Democratic Alliance has ever attained in a South African election is 21.7% with Mmusi Maimane as leader. In fact, it was that 21%, which even the DA leadership said wasn't enough, and then they kicked Mmusi out. But the question is, can the Democratic Alliance build enough of a constituency to ever be a leading party in South Africa, or the leading party in South Africa?
Right here, right now, no. The DA has a likability problem. The DA has a likability problem internally in South African politics, which I think is not going to fare them well in the next election because we are in an era of coalitions. And unfortunately for the DA, you need coalition partners. And right now, even though in their own eyes they are revered as the only alternative to the ANC, other coalition partners would not agree with them. I think that they isolate a lot of people who should be their allies in favor of wanting to put themselves on a pedestal and not be humble in any manner. I have said this time and time again, John Steenhuisen is done. I know he said he would like to seek a third-term re-election. That is absolutely not happening. I think that when you look at the current composition of FedEx, I think when you look at the internal struggles within the DA, I have said this, I think that John Neil Lewis will be the next leader of the DA. I've called this for a while now. A lot of people tell me that that is not true. I think I would make an even bold prediction. I think I said this to you and you looked at me really funny when I told you this like 2 weeks ago. I think Jordan's going to be the deputy president of the country. I think he will be the second post-democracy white deputy president that we have seen.
Wait, are you saying that come 2029?
29. I think that the coalition will be an ANC president. Who it will be, I would like it to be Ramaphosa. He doesn't have the delegate votes. As I read the tea leaves, he doesn't have the support. But I think Cyril's going to throw his weight behind a candidate very soon. A lot of people thought it was going to be Senzo. Mkunazi allegations came out. It's not going to be Fikile. I know he would love it to be him, but it's not going to be him. It's not going to be Panyaza. It's not going to be Paul.
What about Patrice?
Never. It's not going to be Patrice either. Also, why? If you're the president of CAF, going to be the president of South Africa seems like a bit of a downgrade to me. Just my humble opinion.
But before we get carried away in ANC politics, let's focus on the Democratic Alliance. When the DA has a likability problem, we're talking about also the mass voter base in South Africa based on demographic, and I personally say no demographic is a monolith, but it is a interesting indicator. The DA has significantly expanded its appeal amongst black voters from 5% to 18% support, especially on socioeconomic issues like the VAT increase. But it's also one of those cases of how the ANC's success is also its downfall. And yes, South Africa has deep socioeconomic disparities, gross income inequality, but we have seen the rise of a black middle class. A black middle class also needs to be appeased. And what a lot of the DA says in Cape Town, in metros like Joburg, in Tshwane, black middle class voters are receptive to that. But can there ever be a mass support of black voters in South Africa to make the DA a leading party?
I think that there could. I think that the DA would need to go under a large-scale leadership restructure. I think that there would need to be a lot of new faces that come into the DA. I think that almost new life would need to be breathed into the DA, and they would need to have almost like a renewed vision. Right now, I think the max the DA could ever get is like 25%. I don't think that anybody would ever be able to retain a majority unless something like grand happens in South Africa and we go through like a revolution of some kind. But I think, is there a reality in which the DA could overtake the ANC? Yes. I think that it would need to be under a completely different set of new leaders. I do think that the DA is almost in this position of now, like they don't know where they stand. I think that there are different subsects of the DA. You get those who are really progressive and who are inside the DA because they believe that out of all the political parties, that is the best vehicle for change. You
open
get
market, classic liberalism
liberals
of personal freedoms and opportunities.
And you also get those who are highly conservative. I think I logged onto Twitter the other day to search up a staffer, and you would not believe how many staffers at the DA are actually quite transphobic, and I think that also comes from Helen Zilla's own ideologies. But people don't vote for the DA because they like the DA. And I think that is also the misconception. A large percentage of the DA's voter base vote for the DA because they are the second largest political party, and not because they fully believe or they could even really tell you the distinct policy differences between the DA and the ANC, but because they just know that the DA, as they see it, is the best alternative to the ANC as it currently stands.
There aren't any major real policy differences between the ANC and the DA, if you were to be honest. But in terms of its likability and its likability of a leader, let's not beat around the bush, is that character politics works in South Africa. Character politics works here in Cape Town. We've had a series of character-based politicians who have performed well from the very, very early days of democratic politics in the province and the city of Cape Town. People like Peter Murray, Patricia de Lille, even within the ANC, characters like Tony Ehrenreich, who was former provincial secretary of CASATU, characters like Alan Busak, who ran in 1994 for the ANC here in the Western Cape. So Western Cape and Cape Town politics is very much built on personalities. Does the Democratic Alliance have a personality who could possibly challenge John Steenhuisen, or is it about the party wanting to center itself around technocratic politics? Jorniel Lewis is a generally popular mayor in the city of Cape Town. I would even wager to say he's actually quite popular outside of the city of Cape Town, but he's a technocrat. Can a technocrat successfully challenge the ANC?
I think so. Look, I don't say this because I'm like a vehement Jorniel Lewis supporter, nor am I a vehement John Steenhuisen hater, but I think that the writing is very clearly on the wall. John Steenhuisen does not have what it takes to drive the DA forward, and I think that that is extremely clear. I do think that John will step aside. I think that there is this gentleman's agreement between Jordan and John that if John decides to run, Jordan won't challenge him. But even if John decided to run, I mean, I think I'm of the opinion that if Jordan had to challenge him, Jordan would win. I think Jordan would wipe the floor with John Steenhuisen because I don't think that he has what it takes. John is very much a transitional leader. He is never going to, I think, ascend into higher office. The fact that he became the Minister of Agriculture, to him, I think, is even a shock. And I think that when you look at personalities inside the DA, other than Jorniel Lewis, I think Cilliers Brink could be another option. I do think that that could be a bit divisive, especially when you look at what has gone on with the fallout of Action SA in the city of Tshwane. When you look at his controversial mayorship, rather, I think that he could challenge Jorniel Lewis and we could see a direct run between them. But I think even at that, Jordan takes the cake. And the reason why I think Jorniel Lewis wins is because of the success of the city of Cape Town. Because I think that he's in a very comfortable position in the city to rule in a way in which he wants, where the DA is a very comfortable majority. He can still be very technocratic and serve that role inside the DA and build his personality and his social media profile. He has more followers on Instagram than the DA itself. People love Jordan Hill Lewis. Like, you walk onto the streets of Cape Town, for every protest for Palestine they have from the river to the sea, and they still voted blue because they love Jordan, not because they love John.
But do you need a black party leader to win an election in South Africa?
No, I don't think so. I think that we have moved beyond racial-based personality politics. I think personality politics is still there. I think that we have moved beyond racial-based personality politics. And I think specifically for the DA, I think we just expect a white man to be there. You know, I think when you look at the current DA leadership and the current slew of ministers that they have, I think it's not a surprise. Like, no one is going to be, color me shocked if Jordan Lewis becomes the next leader of the DA. I don't think anyone's expecting anything different.
Look, I don't think you would want to particularly be labelled as a black leader within the DA, but for all intents and purposes for this conversation, someone like Solly Malatsi would have, I think, the demographic reach. His roots based in Limpopo, very much also familiar and entrenched within rural politics in South Africa, is doing fairly good work within the Department of Digital Technologies, cut his teeth as a very, very young entrant into the DA. He's worked across, as you said, the various constituencies within the Democratic Alliance. He was the spokesperson once for Mayor Patricia de Lille. He was the spokesperson for former Western Cape MEC for Transport, Robin Carla. He's also very much familiar, friendly with Helen Zille. Also this leader, current leader, John Steenhuisen. And so Solly Malatsi manages to play across constituencies within the Democratic Alliance.
I think Solly's a good pick. The thing is, Solly isn't down for the bit. And that's the big thing. Is like, I think when you look at Jordan, he's there in his gumboots, standing in the rain, talking about how they're fixing pipes in the street. Solly Malatsi is not going to do that. I think Solly Malatsi would make a good FedEx chair. And I think that's also a conversation that needs to happen internally in the DA, is what's going to happen once Helen Zille becomes the mayoral candidate, who becomes the next chair.
Because Helen Zille is not going to lead the Democratic Alliance again, because when she's likely to be the DA's pick for Joburg mayor, she won't then run for a leadership position within the DA's leadership, which means by the time she's done with the city of Joburg, she'll be how old?
84.
84 years old, 85, and maybe a little bit too old to run in active politics, but that currently is where we are. Do you think that the DA could ever be the leading party in South Africa? Let us know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you next time here on The Bull.
Bye.